Welcome in to episode 152 of The Checklist, brought to you by Secure Mac. I'm Ken Ray.
And I'm August Trometer.
Convenience versus privacy on Yelp, tips for staying digitally safe on campus, and everybody needs to update their everything. Time once again for The Checklist, brought to you by Secure Mac. Yelp wants to make it easier for users with dietary restrictions to find a restaurant, says a headline from CNET. That sounds incredibly helpful. Less helpful sounding is the headline from the Next Web. Yelp now lets you personalize its app based on lifestyle and diet. The problem is I've been doing the checklist too long, so all I hear is Yelp thinks you're taking too long to give it all of your information. From the Next Web report, Yelp is rolling out new options for personalization this week, meaning you'll tell the app about your dietary and lifestyle preferences, and it'll spit back appropriately tailored search results, in theory anyway. Preference options are set by the piece to include such categories as foods you like, what kind of life you live, are you a parent, are you a pet owner, and what kind of things do you like to do. Now the piece says when you search for something on Yelp, you'll get results based on your stated preferences without having to filter them out yourself. I'm bothered. Am I wrong to be?
Hey, this is a security podcast. We're all paranoid here. But seriously, these provide data points for any of those extra login questions that you might face. Things like what's your favorite restaurant, your favorite color, what's the name of your pet, all of that kind of thing. And then worse, and given what I've seen from Yelp, I can't help thinking they're going to sell this data to marketers. You know, if you've got a gluten allergy, here's a pasta you might like. And that kind of data grabbing makes me nuts because it seems innocent, but really can be detrimental to the consumer in the long run.
Nut allergy, by the way, might be something, so maybe say crazy next time. Sorry. Gluten, nuts, it's a funny food joke, I think. This piece does go on to say the most helpful and potentially useful of these options are those for restrictions, either dietary or physical. For example, you can select your dietary preferences from keto, vegan, pescatarian, etc. It also allows you to select whether you prefer places with wheelchair access or gender-neutral bathrooms, two very essential things for a significant part of the population. See, the thing is, when you make those cases, or, I was joking a moment ago about a nut allergy, but I mean, there are lots of reasons that this kind of information would be really helpful in something like a Yelp. Sort of starts to change my opinion on the preferences option. What about you?
It doesn't change my opinion because now they're collecting data that can be weaponized. Why in the world do they care about gender neutral bathrooms? Now, I understand that there are people out there that do, and good for them. But now this is in a database. And in the wrong hands, that personal data, and it is very personal data, can be used against you.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I understand, I can see where that would be an important thing for me, right? If I am somebody who needs a gender-neutral bathroom, it would be great if every time I open up my phone, it knows not to send me someplace where somebody's going to try to make me use a bathroom that's not right for me. At the same time, yeah, now they got that information. And we live in weird times where any bit of information could conceivably be used to discriminate against you. And that's not weird because we've lived in that world for thousands of years now. What's weird is, you might just give that information away without even thinking about it. The thing that I find myself thinking about, you and I both switched to DuckDuckGo for searching rather than using Google because we wanted to stop volunteering to be tracked, which is what, using Google feels like.
And I haven't looked back. I feel like my browsing is so much safer and freer, and I don't have to worry about ad tracking or any other marketing related to my searches. So, when I'm looking at how to build a bomb, they don't send me recipes for gunpowder.
Dude, that's You're being recorded. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm pretty sure he was joking about the building a bomb thing. I will say one thing that bothered me about this story, and I read 3 different takes on this story. One from CNET, one from the Next Web, and I can't remember what the third one was. But the thing that bothered me was not one of the 3 stories that I read made any mention of the potential pitfalls of giving information like this away.
Like I said, it sounds innocent on the surface, so I can understand that. New search filters, that's awesome. But when those filter preferences are saved in a database and that database gets hacked, not so awesome.
So I do use Yelp, and I figured since I already use Yelp, I'd at the very least see what the preference options were. Then I read a bit more and found this part of the app is only available to a few million people right now, which is weird to say. A few million is not many, but it's going to roll out to all of the users of Yelp later this year. So while there are millions of people who already have this option, it's only a small percentage. Now, I'm not sure that I would have gotten the preferences, because it's not out to everyone yet. But the other thing is, I don't know if I would have gotten them anyway, because I didn't realize that I've been using Yelp. Well, probably not completely anonymously, because I don't know if I believe in complete anonymity at this point. But I don't have an email login, and I wasn't signed in with Facebook or Google, which are the other options. The thing I found myself wondering is, would sign in with Apple make all of this better?
Well, we haven't seen it in action, but that's certainly the promise. That said, you can have an anonymous email, and if you give enough information outside of that email, you've basically given permission to track you. I think about companies that take Apple Pay. Sure, it's supposed to be anonymous, but then they ask for your club ID or your email for a discount, which completely bypasses the privacy of Apple Pay.
So as far as these options in Yelp, would you encourage people to wait for sign in with Apple? Or would you say go ahead and trust Yelp? I'm guessing the answer on that one is no. Or would you just avoid the whole preferences thing entirely?
I don't want to pick on Yelp, but they've always been a marketing play to me. When I search best sushi near me, the top dozen results are all Yelp. And that's not what I want. So for me, I'd avoid the new preferences altogether until they can publicly say what they're using this information for and how they're securing it.
Well, the kids are headed off to college. You've done what you can to get them ready, but have you gotten them info ready? The folks at Secure Mac have put together a nifty list of security tips for college kids. The part of the fear monger will be played by me, and the part of the sensible fellow who knows how to keep your kids safe will be played by Mr. Trometer. First weeks of college are hectic, but crucial when it comes to safeguarding security and privacy. Students get new university email accounts and credentials, and they may be giving away as much information, if not more, as they're getting, signing up for clubs and organizations. What's some of the top-line stuff that kids should do, August?
Well, first of all, change the default credentials for new accounts immediately. You don't want the basic stuff that they give you. Create strong, unique passwords. My recommendation is to use a password manager like iCloud Keychain or 1Password to keep track of them so that you don't have to worry about remembering all of that stuff. Don't give away any more information than you have to. When you sign up for groups or student organizations, ask if personal information like an address or phone number is really necessary. A lot of times just an email address so they can reach out to you will do. And then finally, if you haven't done so already, have a conversation about online privacy. Your kids are likely to roll their eyes and say, I know, but it's at least worth the talk.
Though we think of ourselves as a paperless society, there's still a lot of paper flying around out there. College campuses are littered with sign-up forms for credit cards and other sensitive paperwork, and that stuff can be step one for identity theft.
So my recommendation is tear it up. If you get unwanted offers from banks and credit card companies in the mail, shred them. If you don't want them, but it's got your name on it, don't just throw it away. Make sure it's completely destroyed. You can get a reasonable paper shredder for about $100. If you're a college student, just ask your folks for one. And if they don't have one, they should have one too. And now that you're out on your own, you're going to have to watch your own back. Learn how to get credit reports from the major credit bureaus and perform regular self-checks to look for fraudulent activity like accounts open in your name that you didn't open, bar tabs that you didn't pay for, that kind of thing.
A lot of times professors are going to want you to work in groups. Totally cool. Find the brainy guy or gal, pair up, and you can coast. Unless, you're the brainy guy or gal. Either way, when platforms like Google Drive, Facebook, or, messaging services are used for group work, your personal life, all that stuff you've been posting on Facebook since day one, suddenly these random classmates have access to that information.
We suggest creating school-only accounts. Consider creating dedicated versions of the social media services you're likely to be used in class, and tie them to an email account that you only use for official school business. You can create a throwaway or burner email account for this, or simply use the university email account provided by your school. Always keep your friends and family social media and email accounts locked down, strictly private and completely separate.
Free Wi-Fi is awesome, and in college settings, there's tons of it. But beware. Public networks are often poorly secured. Digital Swiss cheese with holes big enough for digital rats to slip through and start munching on your info. How am I doing on the fear-mongering, by the way? I feel like I'm really nailing it.
Rats and cheese? I love it. My recommendation, as always, use a VPN. There are a lot of great ones out there. Read up on them. A lot of them come with a free trial or money-back guarantee, so you can try it out at no risk. Seriously, though, read reviews. A reliable and trustable VPN can protect you while you're using public Wi-Fi. An unreliable VPN, like the one Facebook was running, they may be protecting your data from others, but they may be looking at your data themselves.
And if you want a deeper dive on VPNs, checklist number 19 will give you that. Find that wherever you found today's show or at our website, securemac.com/checklist. But Ken, I pretend to hear you say, I'm not just going to be using public Wi-Fi. I'm going to be using public computers, the kind you find at the library or the student union, maybe in the rec room of my frat house. Well, you're very verbose, I reply. Also, community computers are scary. To me, a fearmonger. I mean, public computers can host nasty viruses that you might accidentally pick up and take with you to other machines using USB drives. Plus, hi, you're in public. People can see you. You're using a public computer.
If you have to use a public computer, and sometimes we always do, make sure to use the browser's privacy features so that your session information, passwords, form data, any of that kind of stuff aren't stored for others to see. If you're transferring from a public machine to your own computer, think about using cloud storage and data transfer services instead of flash drives. Flash drives can really bring across some nasty stuff if you're not careful. And please make sure your personal computer has a strong, regularly updated antivirus software.
Now, we talked last week about keeping secure when living with other people. While roommates and people in the dorm may be your friends forever, when you first meet them, they're just strangers with access to your stuff.
Like we said last week, protect all of your devices, your phone, your computer, everything with strong passwords. Make sure your phones and tablets have screen locks. If you're not using two-factor authentication, start using two-factor authentication wherever possible. And if you want to share your computer, you're awesome. But make sure to set up a guest user account with limited permissions first. On a Mac, switching accounts is super easy, so you can go back and forth as needed.
And finally, lightning strikes. Some idiot spills beer on your computer, then trips on it, then throws up on it, then throws your computer away because they don't want you to know what happened. Or, maybe there's just a power surge. A system crash, malware infection, or even a simple blackout can lay waste to your work. And, maybe your whole academic career. This is my last chance, man. I'm really selling the fear-mongering thing. So what do people do? I mean, all these bad things can happen. We didn't even talk about the fires and hurricanes. All these bad things can happen. What should people do?
Back your computer up. Create regular backups of important documents. Think about using a cloud service like iCloud, Pages, or Google Docs while you're working. On my computer, I use iCloud, Time Machine, and a third-party cloud backup service. And then no matter what happens, I'm covered.
From your professors to your parents, lots of people want to take care of you. Others want to take advantage. Part of being safe is being safe digitally, and employing the tips that August just shared will go a long way to keeping you safe and keeping fearmongers like me in your rearview mirror. Time to update everything, or it will be in a moment. First, a word about MacScan 3 from Secure Mac. You clicked on a thing you shouldn't have clicked on. There was a link, maybe something somebody sent you, or maybe it just looked like something from somebody you knew. Problem is now you've got something slowing down your Mac. Maybe skimming data, maybe mining crypto. Maybe it wasn't even anything you did. You just went to a site that attached a few tracking cookies. There are lots of things out there that you neither want nor need on your computer. To get rid of them, there's MacScan 3. MacScan 3 is a great defense against malicious software attacks aimed at your Mac. It's developed by Secure Mac, trusted names in computer security and developers of exceptional security software for the Mac for well over a decade. MacScan 3 detects and removes Mac malware, catches keyloggers, removes tracking cookies, and provides full-range or targeted scanning, all without crowding up your hard drive or slowing down your computer. Keep your machine clean with MacScan 3 from Secure Mac. Sign up for a free 30-day trial today at securemac.com/MacScan. That's MacScan 3 by Secure Mac. Your 30-day free trial is waiting at securemac.com/MacScan. Last week, we told you about Apple accidentally making it easier for people to jailbreak their iPhones. First time in years that an iPhone running the latest version of iOS could be jailbroken to run that really cool feeling you had in 2007 and 2008 when you jailbroke your iPhone. There was a security vulnerability. Apple fixed that vulnerability. Then Apple accidentally unfixed it with iOS 12.4. Can you remind people, please, August, why this was a bad thing?
The problem is jailbreaks rely on security loopholes. Accidentally making it easier for everyone to jailbreak their phone really means Apple accidentally made everyone's iPhone more vulnerable to bad guys.
Well, good news. Since last we spoke, Apple has very purposefully fixed the issue. Vice ran a piece on Monday saying that Apple had just released an emergency patch for the iPhone, following up on iOS 12.4. iOS 12.4.1 took care of that trouble. Now that we have the fix, and now that we have Apple's security notes, what more do we know about the issue, now that it's been taken care of?
Well, Apple tends to be a bit cagey with its update notes, but in this case, a malicious third-party app would be able to run code with system privileges. In this case, it would be able to jailbreak your phone. This patch fixes that. In addition, the update notes give some serious props to Pwn2Own, which is super classy on Apple's part. And looking through some of their other updates, I'm seeing more and more of this from them.
Available for iPhone 5S and later, iPad Air and later, and iPod Touch 6th generation. You know that Apple is recommending this for every device that can take it. Now, I said on Tuesday's macOS Ken, which is the first place that I talked about this, there was so much code shared across Apple operating systems, It looks like the same vulnerability that affected iOS devices also affect Apple Watch, Apple TV, and the Mac. Is that an oversimplification, or is that basically correct?
That's basically correct. The various OSs are essentially central core functionality supported by whatever the platform it's running on needs. So different stuff for the Mac than is needed by iOS, which is different from the watch. But at the center, it's all the same stuff. And if the bug affects that core, it affects all of the platforms.
Okay. Yeah, what made me think that was so was the slew of other updates that hit along with iOS 12.4.1. The Mac Observer ran pieces Monday, letting the world know of the release of watchOS 5.1.3, tvOS 12.4.1, and macOS 10.14.6. The watchOS and tvOS updates apparently address the same kernel issue.
Yeah, anytime you hear the word kernel, unless you're in the military or eating fried chicken, you're talking about part of that core functionality I mentioned.
Okay. Now, I left the Mac update till last, not because it didn't do the same thing, but because it actually did some other stuff. Because for everything else, it was just, we're fixing this one issue. Okay, now go about your day. The macOS Mojave update actually did a little bit more. It fixed an issue that could cause certain Mac notebooks to shut down during sleep, fixed an issue that could degrade performance when working with very large files, and it addressed an issue that could keep Pages, Keynote, Numbers, iMovie, and GarageBand from updating. And of course, it took care of the kernel thing, because wouldn't that be funny? All these updates are free, and you should get them. August would say you should actually have auto updates enabled for all of your Apple devices. And who am I to disagree this week? But, next time we talk about it, we'll see how we feel. Hey, if you're looking for more security news and how-tos, the place to look is securemac.com/checklist. There you'll find notes for this show, for the last show, for show number 19, which was the one all about VPNs. Tons of stuff there to check out. You can read along with the notes. You can actually listen to the old shows right there. It all starts at one place, securemac.com/checklist. If you have a question you'd like to ask or a topic you would like to hear us hit, our email address is checklist@securemac.com. That address again is checklist@securemac.com. And if you can't remember that, please do remember this. You're listening to The Checklist, brought to you by Secure Mac. And we'll talk to you next week.